Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. I'm here with my boy Cal. Say what's up, Cal.
Hey, what's going on? Ready to rock.
Today we're talking about our impressions of the new Obi Wan Kenobi series, Obi Wan. It's been controversial. It's been a hit. There's so much to say. Let me start with my boy Cal. What's his impression so far from the initial, from the view, from your think of the story, the very fact that Kenobi is actually popping his head up out of his hole? Give me your thoughts on that, my friend.
You just had to start off. You had to start off with your little backhanded stuff, right? Your Vader file.
Wait.
Somebody who has been waiting for this series, as of right now, I am very happy with what they've shown. I have some criticisms here and there, but overall, this is what I expected to see and what I wanted to see. So I'm in terms of Obi Wan Kenobi. Now, there's other stuff going on that I can't say I'm as happy with, but the stuff with Obi Wan, especially the last episode, I thought all of that stuff was handled very well, and I'm looking forward to the next episode, which is saying a lot because these last few TV series have been so disappointing for me.
You seriously think they've been disappointing? Get out of here.
Oh, you kidding me? Boba Fett was scat on toast. And Marvel, I don't know who Marvel's making their TV for anymore, but it's not for me.
Probably not hitting the demographics. But hey, getting back to the Inquisitor TV show. I mean, the Obi Wan Kenobi show. Going forward, I mean, I think it's been looking fantastic. I love the look. Always is spot on the look of the series. How it feels. You know, the fact that it now in this one we're visiting a brand new planet. I'm always down for brand new planets because they're in a universe, they're in an empire that has, or excuse me, an empire that has thousands, millions of worlds.
What's a galaxy?
Well, I mean, yeah, the galaxy-wide empire, and they make
the galaxy seems to be what the galaxy is Tatooine and back to Tatooine.
Right, it seems that way. But now with the new world, I think Duo or something like that, they are now exploring other realms. And then on top of that, even more interesting, this is like the mid-rim. Usually Tatooine is all the way out. They're all the way out in the periphery of the empire. Here you're finding other worlds that are more industrialized, like Corellia, where our friend Han Solo is from. And the fact that this just looks good. I think the very fact that we have Kenobi, I mean, what can we say? The actor that plays Kenobi is spot on.
What do you mean the actor that plays Kenobi? You don't know his name?
Of course we know Ewan McGregor. I'm just saying that spot on. But do I have to name everybody's name? You know what I'm trying to say? Do I have to say that Darth Vader is Hayden Christensen? Do I have to say that? Huh?
No, you would have said Hayden Christensen. Okay, it's more of your Obi-Wan Kenobi disrespect, and don't think it goes unnoticed.
I don't see any disrespect given there. Probably was a mental faux pas, if by me not to, because I'm thinking also Alec Guinness. So I'm like, oh man, Kenobi, Alec Guinness, right? So that's why. So don't take any offense to it, my friend.
Nice try, Mars. Nice try. We know who you are. We can see your horns. We know who you are.
So, I mean, continuing the very fact, I mean, is that we see the relationship that what he's been basically doing for 10 years is that he's been ducking his head. I mean, he's done everything opposite of the Jedi Order, or has he? Let's look into that. The Jedi Order has basically said you're supposed to, protect the weak, and you're supposed to help put order when things are wrong. And this dude, one of the leaders, the shining lights of the whole rebellion, not rebellion, of the Jedi Order. He is basically his head is in the sand in Tatooine. Even when another Jedi comes to him and say, help me, he just says like, yo, you basically got to go.
You honestly think I'm going to let you get away with this? You really think I'm going to let you get away with it? See, you're taking shots again. If you're not going to be straight, we can just fight about it. So you let me know how you want to go. Either you're going to be straight or we're going to fight about it. That means it's going to be a bunch of crossfire. Okay. And probably the people listening to this are not going to enjoy this show. But I'm not going to let you come over here and lay this at Obi Wan Kenobi's feet. So make up your mind.
All I'm asking is a simple question. He for 10 years basically kept his head down, and it's totally understandable. I just wanted to hear a little bit from you. What is your take on that?
What is my take on what? That's what he's supposed to be doing.
And so a poor Jedi ended up dying because he didn't help him out, right?
Okay, all right. That's your last warning. Try it again. See what happens. Try it again.
So I'm just asking a question. So, I mean, just enlighten me. So I mean, I'll go past it. So I just think that it was just a sad situation, but it's understandable. He's being hunted, and he has to think about his own life, and his own responsibility towards
He's not thinking about, okay, enough of this, enough.
Luke
He's not thinking about his own life. Okay. Obi Wan Kenobi is charged with what? He is charged with the protection of Luke Skywalker, which for those of us who read the comics, we understand that Luke does get into trouble, Owen gets into trouble, and if Obi Wan wasn't there, we would have never had Episode 4, New Hope. So he has to be committed to that, and what he's doing is very difficult. This is a guy who went, buried his lightsaber. I'm not going to use the Force. I'm not going to call the intention to myself. So now this Jedi comes from out of nowhere and he's like, look, come on, we could do this. He knows the overwhelming odds that they would face to do that. And that's number one. Number two, he hasn't been using the Force. He's not up to it. Number three, what if he goes and helps this dude and he ends up dead? Well, where's Luke's protection then? All right. So all of these things factor into it at the end of the day. So it is a difficult thing. And of course, we can always be very postmodernist in our assessment of it. But what Obi-Wan is doing is the heroic thing. It's self-sacrifice. I'm pretty sure he would love to just whip out a lightsaber and mete out justice and help people, but that will not help the overall cause with what we need to see in Episode 4. So this is what it has to do. Now, I understand that we can come into it and definitely be very supercilious in how we assess these particular things. But unfortunately, and you are definitely complicit in this, too many people want to lay things at the feet of Obi-Wan Kenobi, like this guy was really some sort of wizard who could just cast a spell and everything was going to be okay. No, he was charged to do something. He's doing that. And if we can't see that, then the problem is with you people and not Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hey, the point I just want to make: when bad things are happening, good people have to stand up, and so that's all I gotta say.
When bad things happen, good people did stand up, and that person was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, not when it's you know what? We won't continue with that. So
that's right. We won't continue with it.
It's pretty interesting that Lars, who is Anakin's brother, kind of, when Obi-Wan told him that, hey, we need to take care of Luke and watch him and help him to grow, that Lars had to say, he didn't do the same thing for his brother, and it kind of hurt me when he said that
Hey, I see how this show is going. Lars is full of scat, okay? And we already know that Lars is going to change his tune because Obi-Wan Kenobi is trying to give him what? That fighter that we already see in Episode 4, so we know that he's going to accept it, and he's going to accept Obi-Wan's help. And if we read the comics, we know that Lars has to recant what he's saying because he sees that Obi-Wan's help is necessary and that Obi-Wan is genuinely committed to protecting Luke, even if he won't allow Luke to be trained because he's being overprotected. Luke, at the end of the day, is going to grow up. Lars cannot protect him forever. Luke is someone who is Force sensitive. Eventually, that's going to come out. And without training, well, what's going to happen is he's never going to make it. Vader himself reminds us that Obi-Wan trained you well every time that he speaks with Luke. So Obi-Wan is very influential of this and crucial at the end of the day. Lars, okay, is once again acting like one of these supercilious characters who, well, look what happened. Look what happened to his father. Are you kidding me? Did you watch the films? Anakin is his own worst enemy. Everyone seems to forget that every single choice that Anakin made, he made that choice. He wasn't pushed to do it by Obi-Wan, okay? And he never came to Obi-Wan and said, hey, look at the deal. I got these problems over here. Yes, I have broken Jedi rule after Jedi rule, but everybody's seen Anakin break Jedi rule after Jedi rule and kind of shrugged his shoulders. That's just Anakin. What was Ahsoka say on the show Clone Wars? Well, that's my master. Everybody was along for the ride. Now, when things go bad, whose fault is it? Well, you were supposed to be training him, Obi-Wan. Yeah, that was supposed to happen. When Mace Windu, with his super powerful self, couldn't keep everything in hand at the end of the day. It's Obi-Wan's fault. When Yoda couldn't stop the Emperor, it's Obi-Wan's fault. No, Obi-Wan was the only guy who achieved every single mission he was supposed to. Take that, put your cap in it.
Except for one, and that was what? To mind his apprentice. He was supposed to know what he's up to.
No, he was not supposed to mind his apprentice. He was supposed to train him to be a Jedi Knight, which he did. His job was not to be up his arse with a microscope.
Of course, he never should have gone dark. But listen, we digress with the whole
thing. Are you kidding me? Anakin still brought balance to the Force. And what is the major thing? What is the major? Oh, no, you don't. What is the major theme? What is the major theme throughout the Star Wars films? Destiny, meaning that everything has to happen the way that it happens, or we don't get the result that we're looking at. So you can't lay anything at Obi-Wan's feet because all of this is the way that it had to unfold if you wanted balance to the Force to happen.
You are just
Anakin was going to have that fall.
I'm trying to hold my tongue here, but I'm not going to be.
You haven't tried to hold anything, okay? And if you think what I'm doing right now is bad, keep it up. I'm ready for you today, okay? I'm ready for you today. You show me what you got, and I'm gonna slam it down. Play nice, okay? Or I'm taking the gloves off.
I always play nice. It's you. Clearly, the audience will see clearly who's the belligerent individual in this discussion.
They can see you right now with that smile of yours, knowing how much you're enjoying this, because you planned all this thinking I was going to walk into your trap. No,
not at all. Not at all. So, continuing now. So the crux of the situation is he doesn't want to leave Tatooine, but Organa comes to the planet and say, "Hey, Leia's been kidnapped," and the question is, does he, leave Luke to go take care of this because of his old, or does he realize it's a trap? What's your take on that? The very fact that he jumped and did it,
He didn't jump. He refused, which is classic Campbell. Classic Joseph Campbell hero's journey. He refuses the call. He's like, no, I'm supposed to be here. I can't do that. And Bail again has to come in person and literally plead with him, please. Because if not, it's all gonna turn up at the end of the day. Now, of course, we know that he's gonna be successful because we got episode 4, but that's the truth of what happened. Not that he just said, hey, I need you to come over here with Leia, or I'm dropping everything with Luke and I'm gonna get over here. Like, no. Again, you show and you exemplify Obi-Wan's character. He's like, no, I have to stay diligent to this. The person has to plead. Okay, Bail again has to plead and say, look, he tells him, there's no one else. There's no one else, which reminds us of those classic words from Princess Leia, help me, Obi Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. How many times has this been put to Obi Wan Kenobi's feet? Help me, Obi Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
Those are clearly trigger words. When you say you're my only hope, it goes to his head and he goes, hey, I got to put the S on my chest and just start flying away, or put the O on my chest and then I got to do it. If they didn't say that, then I guess
what it means to be a true hero. And in those cases, who did they need? A true hero, somebody who is capable of self-sacrifice, someone who can get the job done, and someone who is not so controlled by their emotions, like a certain guy clad in black armor, as that they will allow themselves to be manipulated by other forces.
So hold on a second. Let's go back a little bit, because we just stated that when the other Jedi came and asked him for his help, he basically turned him away. But when Bail Organa comes to
what Jedi? When that guy wanted Obi-Wan to go join some rebellion. Obi's like, what are you talking about? How are we gonna? He saw the Empire wipe out the Jedi Order. Okay, they decimated the Jedi Order within a matter of hours, not days, hours. And this guy is saying, hey, look, we're putting something together. Let's get it done. He's gonna weigh this. What's more important, me going over here and trying to restore the Jedi Order, or fulfilling the mission that I have to Luke Skywalker? He knows which one. He knows where it is at the end of the day, and he chose correctly. Why? Because that guy ended up dead.
Allowing the wholesale slaughter of the Jedi.
He didn't allow any wholesale slaughter of anything. And you know it. Now you're being completely disingenuous at this point. You're such a hater.
Not at all. I love the character of Obi-Wan. What are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, you love giving Obi-Wan grief. That's what you love. You're like, here's some scat, Obi-Wan. See if you can chew this bit.
So what's your take of Leia? Leia, we see Leia, who is the daughter of the Queen of
Leia is an annoying Leia is an annoying little ball buster. I am so tired when I wish they would do these shows and have somebody be like, if not a mother or father to her, at very least a parent. Someone to tell her, hey, look, you are a child. You don't know everything. Just because you can grow up with your little precocious arse, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You didn't listen to your own mom. That's why you're in this fix, running out here and doing whatever the hell you want. People have indulged you, and now I have to get you back to your parents. And it's like they don't want to do that type of stuff. Leia can say all this. I'm like, look, when we were growing up, if you were a kid, you spoke like that to an adult, you'd be tasting your teeth. Okay, you'd be lucky if hope those are your baby teeth, because if not, you'd be growing up and it'd be hard to chew. You could not do those sorts of things, but they lack that precocious child bit is not a problem, but they are not bringing in the parenting aspect where they tell her, look, the reason why we're here is because you did not listen to your own mother. And because of that, this is what happened. And now you're not listening to me. And when do you get it? When do you get it? Yes, you can come at me for saying, oh, you're keeping secrets from me and you're doing this. Okay, that's fair. But are you listening? Because the only reason why we're on this planet is because you didn't listen to your mother. And let that sink in. That's some parenting. But I understand with the Disney shows, like they want to make it, kids are right. Parents are always wrong. They want to go that Hollywood aspect that anyone who's an authority figure is to be distrusted because they're always keeping secrets from you. They're never telling you the truth. That's that type of nonsense. But it just makes the character really overbearing at the end of the day, where you're like, come on, let's go do this. And now we're in trouble. Thanks, Leia. I'm not going to listen.
I think a lot of people, especially young kids, have been finding her very popular. Leia's been doing well in terms
of course, because she's a kid. That's a kid's fantasy. I'm just going to go out, do whatever the hell I want. And I'm not going to listen to anyone until I get into trouble. Then it's, dad, I need some help. Help.
Okay.
Can I get some help? It's $5.
I think she's been pretty cool. I mean, you're right. She's a child and she's been doing, but of course, trying to make her the character similar to what Leia was, impetuous, headstrong,
No, not at that age. Not because she would have never made it to be as old as she is right now.
It's a princess, of course.
It's just she's being spoiled, she's being overindulged, and at the end of the day, there's no parent on the planet who wouldn't think this little girl is just being rude in front of somebody who is her elder. It's just out of pocket.
Because she's a princess, they're giving her a lot of leeway.
No,
so let's go on to another. Since we don't want to.
Obi-Wan is different than say like an anti-hero, because an anti-hero would have scared the crap out of her already.
Yes, of course, and that would have been different. So now let's get down to the crux of the situation. We have this group of people called the Inquisitors, and their job is to hunt down people who are Jedi or Force sensitives, right? They're not as strong as Vader or the Emperor and stuff like that, but their job is to either turn these people that they find, or I guess destroy or defeat them. We've seen them in the Rebel series. They showed up, and now they're in live action, right? So now we're canon and stuff like that. We see in the Grand Inquisitor, who's in charge. And I just want to make one point: he does look extremely different from what he did in Star Wars Rebels. But that's one thing we can talk about another time. But here we are: is the controversy of Reva. Everybody's talking about Reva. There's been a lot of vitriol that's been laid at her character's door. I mean, she's the one who came up with the idea to kidnap Leia because she found something in the archives with a connection between Obi Wan and Bail Organa. She's the one who set the bounty hunters on her. So her plan worked, but the Grand Inquisitor thought her extremely, I guess, overconfident would be the word.
I think the word is precocious.
I don't know, precocious. She's a grown up. Can't be precocious.
No, because they're giving the same stuff they do for Leia is what they do for Reva, and that's one of the reasons why she's not being well received. And I do take issue with this because they love to do this with minority characters. They love to do this with minority characters, and then their backup to the whole thing is like, oh, well, you're being like this because the person's a woman. I'm sorry, pardon me, just a second. You're being like this because the person is a woman or black or gay or what have you. And you're like, no, we're doing this because you guys keep making the same mistake with these characters. We've never met this character before. And out of nowhere, she's coming in here, she's calling shots, she's getting all this focus, more so than established characters. Nobody cared about Reva coming into this show. Obi Wan Kenobi is the lead. You definitely wanted to see more of the Grand Inquisitor for people who saw him in Rebels. And the next thing you know, she's taking him out. Vader's telling her, I'm going to make you top dog. And it's just real basic stuff. You should not be looking to get promoted your first day on the job. And they keep making the mistake with these characters of doing that. And then they keep foisting it onto a minority character at the end of the day. And their defense to the whole thing is, oh, you guys are just, being sexist, racist, homophobic. I'm like, no, you guys keep making the same mistake and you keep using minority characters as your defense for it. Put the character in, let the character actually earn something. Okay, let them take a series or something. Let them earn something first, and then maybe they can do some of this stuff. But nobody likes it, especially when they're doing this with established characters and characters that people want to see.
I can't agree with that because you have characters that will start in a series and they come from out of nowhere, and this whole thing that you have to earn it. Look, the fact of the matter is, there's a variety of
What character? What name a character that falls into the same line as Reva? Came from out of nowhere and is killing the top dog, like the Grand Inquisitor, who we've seen to be, who was shown to be an extremely formidable character in terms of the Force and killing Jedi. Okay, and just what characters just come from out of nowhere, with the exception of Rey, and we see how well received she was. What character has come out and done this?
Well, I mean, we can look at the Game of Thrones. You have one character, the brother of what's his the sea guy? What's the he comes in and he killed. Well, I don't think they put it all in the series, but in the book, yeah, he was in the book where he comes in and he has his brother killed and he takes over as the new Sea Lord basically, and he
All
starts,
right.
and that's not the only one. There's other characters if you give me a minute to go through, but I'm saying this
No,
happens
you don't.
again.
I'm not gonna give you a minute. You the one who brought it up. I'm asking you, like, you brought it up. You got
But
nothing to
I
say.
gave you
You
an
have nothing
example
to
right
say
there.
with
And
it.
then let's look at this whole thing with
You got no example. You got nothing.
no, we have Star Wars where you have not the prequels, the sequels, where you come in and you have this new character who is Snook, who comes over and knocks off Benjamin, what's his name? Benjamin Skywalker, and he knocks off no, Solo, and he knocks off Snook, and so it happens all the time. My point is that
Your examples are not holding up. The
I
fact that the fact that Kylo
how did they earn their place?
the fact
You
that
realize
Kylo
how they
Ren
earned-
you're telling me the fact that Kylo Ren killed Han Solo is
no, not Han Solo.
equivalent
I
to
didn't say
Reva.
Han Solo, but I'm saying
You
how
just know you did. You just said
I didn't
Solo.
say. I said Snook. I said Snook. I didn't say.
Snook didn't kill Solo. You said
I didn't
Solo.
say Snook. I said Benjamin Solo.
Mhm.
Okay, who then killed Snook. He took over from him. A character who you're saying is that just out of the blue. He just everybody thought that he was under him. And all of a sudden he took so no one expected that to happen. That was something that was written into
Are
the.
you kidding me? That was coming from a mile away in a series
Oh
where
my
you have
God.
someone like Ray coming in there and out of nowhere she's doing stuff with no training. Okay, the fact when once Ray can beat Kylo Ren, it's all up for goods.
What's
It's
up,
all up for goods.
Kylo Ren? But I'm saying the original plan was not to kill him off right away. But the second director comes in and says, "Nah, we're going to change it. I don't think this works." Okay, so you're saying that doesn't necessarily hold water because they already had a plan that he was going to probably be involved longer. That's why when the original director comes back again, the guy who and he had to fix it and change it back in because there were so many changes done from the original plan. So no, it happens. And all I'm saying is that the why look, I have no problems if you dislike Reba, but it shouldn't be because I'm making it into a racist thing or whatever. If you don't like her character,
You
oh,
keep
if you don't like
you
it,
make it a racist. You make it a race thing when you put race into it, and you
how
keep
is it
mucking and you
racist?
keep
You just put
because
a
I already said this because they keep doing it with minority characters. They keep doing it. They want to do it with the black, especially if it's a black female character, and then they want to come back and then they want to come back later and say, "Oh, well, if you don't like what we did, you're a racist."
look. I'm not calling. All I'm saying is that look, if you're not interested in the show, they're going to introduce. Back then, when they did the show, you didn't have a lot of representation. We all agree with that, right? So now they're bringing in more representative characters coming
It's
in.
not about
So,
representation. You
so
sound like these. No,
can I finish? Can I finish what I'm saying? All I'm saying is that if that's the case, then you can disagree. You don't necessarily have to like the character. All I'm saying is that there's no need to have this huge backlash. And if you look at it, it's constantly against minority women most of the time. I mean,
because they keep doing it with because they keep doing it with minority women.
but they don't do it with Ray. There was a whole thing. She's not a minority woman. She's she's I'm trying to say she's a woman. They went after her.
So
Anything that's
because
not
Ray
male. If you're not male, if you're not male,
Ray bucks the trend. Okay, Ray bucks the trend. So that somehow makes it something that
no.
hasn't
But what I'm
happened.
trying to say is a systematic thing where it's
Look,
like if you're not a guy and you're doing all this
they
stuff.
did it.
Like, to me,
They
Kylo
like to
Ren,
do this.
to
They
me,
like to
Kylo
do
Ren
this with
sucks.
established. They like to do this with established characters. They want to bring in some, and then they say, "Look, we want to bring in some more diversity." And what's the best thing to do? Take the diversity character and have them knock off everybody else who's over there. That shows
I
how
totally
cool and how
disagree.
powerful they are.
I think the problem is that you have
They're doing it right.
someone like
You can
Kylo Ren.
disagree. You can disagree all you like. That's what they're doing with Reva. That's one of the reasons why
I'm
the
saying
character's not well received.
but I'm saying you have someone like Kylo Ren who sucks. His character doesn't really have a personality. His character doesn't say much, and yet, okay, he can get away with it, but yet Ray can't. To me, it doesn't hold water. There's a particular
What
group who doesn't
what is
like. You know,
what is Kylo Ren getting away with?
he doesn't have everybody going after him like the same way they're going after Riva and Ray and Boyega. That's the point I'm talking about.
Did we see the same movies? Kylo Ren comes out, okay,
and he sucked.
Hey, Kylo Ren comes out, okay. He looks like he's going to be some sort of villain, and he loses to Ray. So you can say, hey, he sucks, but the burn is going to be on Ray, because at the end of the day, everybody's going to say he sucks because she beat him.
No, they're going to say he sucks because he sucked. The character to me never stood out. He doesn't stand anywhere near on the pantheon of I guess Sith Lords that there is. So I think that it's misplaced. If there's something you can say, hey, he sucks, and be proud of it. But to me, the problem is they're saying, oh, he sucks and he's just not that great. But they're going after other people and they're saying, oh, this is all about race and this is no, it's not. It's just that you don't like the character and then you want to complain about them being.
Then Kylo Ren is your perfect example. Kylo Ren, white male, he sucks, nobody cares. So if you want to keep making sucky characters, keep making them white males, and I guess nobody will care. If that's what your argument is.
That's the argument.
So then right there, you've already qualified it yourself. If you don't want to have this if you don't want this to be about race, stop making sucky characters and then making the minority characters.
So then basically there'll be no minority characters because we want to just avoid that.
Are you saying that the only way we can have a minority character, based on what you just said right now, you're saying the only way we can have a minority character is if they are sucky character?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you do a project like this, you don't know if they're going to turn out sucky, right? If people are going to like them or not. Right? What I'm trying to say, but I'm saying the problem is that you had a series of sucky characters, right? And yet the ones that seem to have, particularly in the sequel, are the ones where all the vitriol doesn't seem to be like the white male, such as Kylo Ren. The ones who had the huge was Tran. The ones who had a pretty bad was and now Riva, and Ray had a pretty rough time about it too. All I'm saying is let's get for real. The question is, look, when I go to the comic book store, the young kids tend to like it, right? Because they tend to be a little bit more open. Let's take a look at the people who are shooting all this vitriol and stuff like that. Shut down Twitter, call it off, because Twitter.
What young kids? How old would you say these kids are?
I'd say under 25. They like the prequels, which I still don't understand why.
Under 25? So like you're talking like what? Hold on. You know a lot of fast talking. What's the age range? You're saying under 25. So what does it start? Like from 8 to 20 to 24? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just giving a rough. We're talking. I'm just saying.
Well, let's not deal in roughs. Why don't we try to deal in some specifics over here? Since you're just throwing stuff up.
I'm not throwing stuff up. Because you're disagreeing when you're saying I'm throwing stuff. You threw stuff out, and I'm saying my point is.
No, I specify.
The movie overall.
You're telling me young kids. You're telling me young kids. Then you're saying under 20. Then you're telling me under 20, under 25. That's a big range.
The reality is, if you look at the statistics, the Gen Xers, the younger kids, the Gen Zs, they tend to be a little bit more open in terms of diversity than older groups. Okay, and the numbers bear it out. Not me. You can take a look at it. Just Google it. Okay. The point of the matter is,
I gotta go Google. What's this? You bring it up. You bring it up.
And I'm telling you.
I asked you about it, and you tell me go do my own research.
So what I'm trying to say is that because of that. The whole thing, these companies are coming out, and the same argument we had with the comics where they're being diverse and stuff, is that the companies see a market out there, that those of us who are older don't necessarily see. And we're like, okay, they're like,
that is just totally disingenuous. So what are you saying? Are you saying because we're older, we're blind or stupid? What are you saying?
Because some of us are, not all of us, but some of us because of the way they are.
I'm going to go on record right now. Spinnerack respects. We do not believe that older viewers have less insight or are blind.
I said some.
We actually believe that older viewers have great wealth of knowledge, and when they're making criticisms, it's because they have viewed a lot of this stuff and they are making very precise criticisms, not because they're racist, not because they're sexist, not because they're homophobic, but they have experienced enough of these type of stories to know good storytelling from bad storytelling.
Wait. I totally
bad
characterization. I'm not categorizing.
Hey, you're the one going over here and insulting some of the viewership.
I'm saying what you have to do, the reality is that's what the numbers show, right? And what I'm saying here about
you don't have to insult the viewers. You don't have to insult the viewers.
You know how things go. Like a great example is what's that movie? Rosebud. people, when it first came out, people lambasted.
Are you're back on the Orson Welles train again?
Yes, I'm back on Orson Welles again. People lambasted that movie, but now it's considered one of the greatest American movies. Times change, and people will change what they do. You know, like every era.
All over the place today. You got no numbers. You weren't ready for this show, were you? You weren't ready.
Of course I am.
You didn't do numbers. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. You're talking about Rosebud. You're talking about Rosebud. Rosebud's got nothing to do with this.
We are digressing. We're digressing. So overall, did you like the show?
I already said what I liked most of all about the show is that characterization of Obi Wan Kenobi. I think he's being handled very well. I mean, I'm hearing some criticism like, oh, he sees Vader and he runs away. And I'm like, dude, does everybody seem to forget what his charge is? He says, look, I'm going to lead these guys away. His job is not to engage Vader in a fight right away that he more than likely is going to lose. He's supposed to be giving them time to get away. Okay, and he does exactly that. And then, of course, he's going to lose. He hasn't been using the Force. So the criticisms are almost like they don't understand heroism, and they don't understand an archetypical character as well in terms of Obi Wan Kenobi at the end of the day. So those criticisms I let roll up. However,
I agree with you with those criticisms. Those criticisms suck. It doesn't make any sense.
In terms of Leia, I mean, kids don't have to be overbearing. They don't. You can write. Kids do not have to be these overbearing little, like they're writing them like they're little 4-foot adults. They're not adults. Write them like children, and people tend to actually like them. You know, not this syrupy, sweet, saccharine kid where, you know, everything's great, everything's rolled. Just write them like kids. Okay, just write them like kids. You tend to do pretty well with it at the end of the day. And Reva, look, just bring in the villain. Okay, bring in the villain. Allow people to get to know this villain before you force them. You know, before you force them to have to deal with the villain. And then if you're going to keep doing this, well, hey, be willing to stand up to the characterization of the character without accusing people that they somehow have some bias based on the person's gender or race at the end of the day.
Okay, so what I'm going to say, I like the show. It looks pretty good going forward. I think that Leia, yes, she's impetuous, but I think they're trying to get her to be in a similar vein as Padme, similar vein as Leia herself. I mean, older Leia. So I kind of understand that. The criticism of Reva, I think it's like totally off base. No, criticism not totally off base. If you're going to say you're not crazy about her acting, you're not crazy about how she's doing, that's one thing. But when you start bringing up race, I think that tends to be the problem. So I think that let's see what's going on. What was the whole reason behind these people putting her in? And so I said, so hold on, I'll let you talk. So let's, and you know, we're about to finish up too. So I'm about to say is that let's give the character and see what's going on and what happens. A lot of times you have like a backstory that may happen in another episode and explains and puts it all together. And I think that's what's going to end up happening in the future. Okay. So, hey, is there anything else, final words before we sign off?
Oh yeah, I'll take the final word. If you do not want race to be a factor in it, you have to take that out or do better characterization with the character. Otherwise, you're going to have that issue when you keep falling back. I mean, look, the actress, Moses, I can't remember her last name.
Moses Ingram?
Moses Ingram?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like her acting. That's just it. That whole scene where she's supposed to be, where she's like, oh, I thought I got the last word. Here. Thanks for that.
That's legit.
Okay. She comes in with the whole scene and she's like, Obi Wan. She's supposed to be like taunting him. And I'm like, no, she just doesn't have the presence or at least the acting ability to make me believe that Obi-Wan should be in fear, of her or anything. And she hasn't shown anything. Okay, in terms of the characterization, she hasn't shown anything that makes me believe that Obi-Wan would be like, well, no, I'm thinking Obi-Wan, you should be able to outsmart her, even if she doesn't, even if she has like greater force ability than you right now. And that's in terms of the overall acting and maybe the range that she has as an actress. So I mean, aside of everything else that's being said about her, I just don't find her very compelling. I don't find her very compelling in this role. However, however,
it was final word, not final soliloquy. Final word.
You said final word. This is my final word. However, if I make that criticism about the character, then it should not be